Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
I never thought my life would take such an unexpected turn. Mom always said fate loves to surprise us, but this was a surprise I could never have prepared for. A year ago, Mom passed away. Every day since then, I lived as if in a fog, clinging to memories of her warmth, laughter, and endless care. Today, I visited the cemetery again to mark this sad anniversary. I brought her favorite lilies and mentally prepared the speech I was going to give at her grave. As I parked my car and stepped out, the cold wind rustled the leaves, adding an eerie feeling to the already solemn atmosphere. I tightened my grip on the bouquet of lilies and started walking along the familiar path towards Mom's resting place. The cemetery was unusually quiet, with only the distant sound of birds breaking the silence. As I approached Mom's grave, I felt a wave of emotions wash over me. Kneeling down, I placed the lilies gently on her tombstone and took a deep breath, preparing to speak. "Hi, Mom," I began, my voice trembling slightly. "I miss you so much. There's so much I want to tell you, so much I wish you were here for." I paused, letting the tears flow freely. The air around me felt heavy with grief, and I struggled to find the right words. After a few moments, I decided to take a walk around the cemetery to clear my mind before continuing. The sun was setting as I walked past a row of unfamiliar headstones. Suddenly, something caught my eye. A familiar face on a gravestone. My heart stopped when I saw my photograph there. The headstone had my name engraved on it, and the date of death was today. I froze, unable to move. My throat was dry, and I couldn't utter a word. It was like a bad dream I couldn't wake up from. What does this mean? Raced through my mind. My head spun with 100 questions. Angel? Are you okay? Lily, my best friend, snapped me out of my stupor. She appeared out of nowhere. I turned to her, my eyes wide. "Do you see this?" I whispered, pointing to the eerie headstone. Lily looked at it, and her face turned pale. "This has to be some kind of mistake." She tried to comfort me, but her voice trembled. "This can't be real." We stood there, shocked, unable to tear our eyes away from the sinister headstone. At that moment, an elderly man in a black suit approached us. His eyes seemed to hold more knowledge than he was willing to share. "You found something you weren't supposed to see," he said in a raspy voice. "What does this mean? Why is my picture here?" I still couldn't believe what was happening. "Sometimes the past returns to warn us about the future," he replied mysteriously. "Follow me if you want to know the truth." I glanced at Lily, who nodded slightly, her eyes filled with concern but also curiosity. We exchanged anxious glances but followed him. The man led us to a small cafe nearby, its cozy interior a stark contrast to the unsettling events of the day. "Take a seat," he said, gesturing to a corner booth. As we settled in, he ordered tea for all of us. The warmth of the tea was comforting, but it did little to ease the tension in the air. "Your mother was a remarkable woman," he began, his voice carrying a hint of nostalgia. "And she had a difficult life. Few people knew, but you had a twin sister." I felt my world crumbling. "A sister? Why didn't she ever tell me?" "It's a complicated story," the man continued. "When you were born, the doctors discovered serious health issues with your sister. Your mother decided to separate you to protect her and give her a chance for better treatment. They moved to another city, and your sister was given a new name, Angel." "So she's alive?" Lily barely contained her astonishment. "She is," the man nodded. "But she always knew about you and desperately wanted to find you. This headstone was her way of catching your attention. She knew you would come here on your mother's anniversary." "I need to find her," I said, feeling a wave of emotions rising inside me. "I need to know her." "I'll help you," the man said. "I know where she lives." We set off on a journey full of questions and hopes. As we drove, the man shared more about our family's past. He spoke of my mother's strength and her unwavering determination to give us both a chance at a better life. After a few hours, we arrived at a cozy cottage on the outskirts of town. My heart pounded as I approached the door and knocked. The anticipation was almost unbearable. Would she accept me? Would she be as eager to meet me as I was to meet her? The door opened and there she was. It was like looking in a mirror, but slightly different. We stood there, staring at each other, and in that moment, everything fell into place. "Angel?" she said, and I heard the same notes in her voice as in mine. Yes, it's me, I replied, feeling a strange mixture of joy and sorrow. I'm so glad I found you. We embraced, and words became unnecessary. All that mattered was that we were together now. Ahead of us lay many conversations, memories, and discoveries, but at that moment, we knew we would support each other no matter what. Come in, Angel said, leading us inside. The cottage was warm and inviting, filled with family photos and mementos. It felt like a home, a place where we could start to rebuild our connection. We sat down in the living room, and Angel poured us some tea. There's so much I want to know, I said, taking a sip. Tell me everything. Angel smiled, a bit sadly. It's been a tough journey. After Mom moved us away, I always felt like a part of me was missing. I knew about you, but Mom said it was for our own good that we stayed apart. She wanted to keep us safe. But safe from what? I asked, leaning forward. From him, Angel replied, her voice dropping to a whisper. Our father. He was involved in some very dangerous activities. Mom wanted to protect us from his influence. The mention of our father sent a chill down my spine. I remembered vague stories Mom used to tell, always warning me to stay away from certain people and places. But she never gave me the full story. So, what's our next step? Lily interjected, ever the practical one. We need to find out more about what he's involved in and why he would want to keep us apart, Angel said. There's a box of Mom's things in the attic. Maybe there's something there that can help us. We spent the next hour sifting through old photos, letters, and documents. Each piece of paper felt like a clue in a complex puzzle. And then we found it, an old leather-bound journal with my mother's handwriting. As we opened it, the first entry read, "To my dear daughters, if you are reading this, then you have found each other. There are things you need to know, things I couldn't tell you while I was alive. Your father is a dangerous man, and his secrets run deep." We exchanged glances, a mix of fear and determination in our eyes. We knew we had to keep going, to uncover the truth about our father and protect each other from whatever dangers lay ahead. Let's start reading, I said, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. We need to know everything. As we delved into the journal, it became clear that our mother had been aware of our father's activities for years. She detailed his connections to powerful and dangerous people, his involvement in illegal operations, and his constant efforts to keep us separated to protect his empire. He's not just a bad man, Angel said, her voice shaking. He's a criminal, and he won't stop until he gets what he wants. But what does he want? I asked, flipping through the pages. Why is he so determined to keep us apart? Because we hold the key to his downfall, Angel replied, her eyes filled with determination. Mom left us the information we need to expose him, and that's why he fears us. The weight of our mother's words settled over us like a heavy blanket. We realized that our reunion was not just a personal journey, but a mission to bring justice and end our father's reign of terror. Just as we were about to continue reading, there was a loud knock at the door. We exchanged worried glances, and Angel cautiously opened it. Standing there was a tall man with a stern look and familiar features. My heart sank as I recognized him, our father. Good evening, Angel, he said with an icy smile. You made a big mistake by coming together. Who are you? I asked, feeling the anxiety grow inside me. Don't you recognize me? I am your father, and I am here to take back what is mine. Angel rushed to my side. You have no right to be here, she said, her voice shaking but trying to be brave. I have every right, he sneered. You both are part of my plan. Your mother couldn't hide you from me forever. My head spun with countless questions. Why had he returned? What did he want? What do you want from us? I asked, trying to remain calm. It's very simple. His voice grew even colder. You both have information that could destroy my entire empire. I won't let that happen. Empire? What are you talking about? Angel asked. My work, he replied. I am involved in things you better not know about, but your mother left you the key to information that could ruin everything I've built. Now that you are together, you are a threat. I realized there was more behind all the secrets and half-truths than just family secrets. Our father was involved in something dark and dangerous. We won't let you manipulate us, I said firmly, holding Angel's hand tightly. We'll see about that, he said, his eyes flashing with malice. You made a big mistake by coming together. Now you have no escape. With those words he left, leaving us in a state of shock. We knew he wouldn't leave us alone. What are we going to do? Angel asked, her voice full of worry. We need to find a way to protect ourselves, I replied. We need to find what Mom left us and figure out what he desperately wants to hide. Ahead of us lay many dangers, but now we were together and ready to fight. We knew we had to uncover the truth and stop our father to protect not only ourselves, but everything dear to our mother. The confrontation with our father left us reeling. Angel and I sat in her living room, surrounded by the remnants of our mother's hidden past. The journal lay open on the coffee table, a silent witness to the gravity of our situation. We need to find what Mom left us, Angel said, her voice tinged with determination. If it really can bring him down, it's our only hope. But where do we start? I asked, glancing at the scattered papers and photographs. Mom's journal is detailed, but it doesn't give us any clear directions. We need to keep reading, Angel suggested. Maybe there's a clue we missed. We resumed our meticulous examination of the journal, page by page. The entries painted a vivid picture of our mother's fears, her sacrifices, and her relentless efforts to keep us safe. As we delved deeper, a pattern began to emerge. References to a hidden location where she stored crucial information. Look at this, Angel said, pointing to a passage. Mom mentions a place she called the sanctuary. It's where she felt the most at peace, and it's where she kept her most important secrets. But where is it? I asked, my curiosity piqued. I think it's the old family cabin, Angel replied. She always said it was her refuge. I nodded, memories flooding back. The cabin in the woods, nestled by a serene lake, was a place of solace for our family. It made sense that Mom would choose it as her sanctuary. We need to go there, I said, feeling a sense of urgency. But we have to be careful. If Dad knows about this, he might have people watching. We'll have to be discreet, Angel agreed. Pack only the essentials and leave tonight. The sooner we get there, the better. As night fell, we prepared for our journey. I grabbed a backpack, filling it with supplies, flashlights, a first aid kit, some food, and the journal. Angel did the same, her hands trembling slightly as she zipped up her bag. Lily, we need you to come with us, I said, turning to my best friend who had been silently observing our preparations. We can't do this alone. Of course, Lily replied without hesitation. I'm with you all the way. We set off under the cover of darkness, our footsteps muffled by the forest floor. The drive to the cabin was tense, every shadow and passing car setting us on edge. When we finally arrived, the sight of the familiar structure brought a mix of comfort and apprehension. Let's go, Angel said, leading the way up the creaky wooden steps. The door opened with a groan, revealing the dusty interior. Everything was just as I remembered. Old furniture, family photos on the walls, and the lingering scent of pine. Where do we start? I asked, looking around the dimly lit cabin. Mom always loved the attic, Angel replied. She said it was her special place. Let's check there first. We climbed the narrow staircase to the attic, the wooden steps protesting under our weight. The attic was a treasure trove of memories, old toys, boxes of keepsakes, and dusty furniture. But what caught our attention was an old trunk in the corner, secured with a heavy lock. This has to be it, Angel said, kneeling beside the trunk. But how do we open it? Maybe the journal has a clue, Lily suggested. Mom seemed to hide everything in plain sight. We flipped through the journal again, searching for any mention of a key. Then, a small note fell out from between the pages. It read, "The key to the sanctuary is where our hearts rest." Where our hearts rest? I pondered aloud. What could that mean? Mom's heart necklace, Angel exclaimed. She always wore it, and she kept a spare in her jewelry box. We rushed downstairs to Mom's old bedroom. Sure enough, in her jewelry box, we found a delicate heart-shaped necklace with a tiny key attached. This is it, Angel said, her voice filled with hope. We hurried back to the attic and inserted the key into the lock. With a satisfying click, the trunk opened, revealing its contents. Inside, we found documents, photographs, and a series of detailed notebooks. Among them was a sealed envelope addressed to both of us. Read it, Angel urged, her eyes wide with anticipation. I opened the envelope and began to read aloud. My dear daughters, if you are reading this, it means you have found each other and are ready to face the truth. Inside this trunk, You will find all the evidence you need to bring your father to justice. His crimes are many, and his reach is vast, but together you can end his reign of terror." As I read, tears filled my eyes. Our mother had left us everything we needed to fight back, to protect ourselves and to honor her memory. "We need to go through all of this," Angel said, gesturing to the trunk's contents. "But we can't stay here for long. Dad will figure out where we've gone." "We'll take what we can and find a safe place to stay," I suggested. "We need to stay one step ahead of him." Just as we were about to start packing the documents, the sound of footsteps echoed from outside the cabin. We exchanged panicked glances, our hearts racing. "Someone's here," Lily whispered, her eyes wide with fear. We quickly doused the lights and moved to the windows. Peering through the curtains, we saw a group of men approaching, their intentions clear from their menacing expressions. "They found us," Angel said, her voice barely audible. "We have to leave now," I replied, grabbing the most important documents and shoving them into our bags. "We'll find another way to finish this." As we quietly slipped out the back door, the weight of our mission pressed down on us. The fight for truth and justice had only just begun, and we knew we had to stay strong. We moved swiftly through the dense forest, our breaths heavy and hearts pounding. The men pursuing us were relentless, and we could hear their footsteps growing louder, closer. Lily led the way, her experience in hiking and outdoor survival proving invaluable as we navigated the uneven terrain. "Over here," she whispered urgently, pointing to a narrow path veering off the main trail. "This should lead us to the river. We can lose them there." We followed her without hesitation, our footsteps silent against the soft forest floor. As we approached the river, the sound of rushing water drowned out the noise of our pursuers. We quickly waded across, the cold water biting at our legs, but offering a temporary respite from the chase. On the other side, we found a small cave hidden by overgrown foliage. "This will give us some time to think," Angel said, her voice filled with determination. "But we can't stay here long." "We need a plan," I said, catching my breath. "We have the evidence, but we need a safe place to sort through it and a way to expose Dad's crimes without putting ourselves in more danger." "How about my uncle's cabin?" Lily suggested. "It's remote, and he rarely visits. We can lay low there while we figure things out." "Perfect," Angel agreed. "But we need to make sure we aren't being followed. Let's split up and meet there. It's safer that way." We agreed on a rendezvous point and carefully made our way back to the main road, each taking a different route to throw off any potential followers. The journey to Lily's uncle's cabin was tense, but we finally arrived at the secluded location without incident. The cabin was modest but cozy, surrounded by trees and far from prying eyes. Inside, we set up a workspace with all the documents and photographs we had recovered from the trunk. The air was thick with tension as we pored over the evidence, piecing together the extent of our father's criminal empire. "These files are damning," Angel said, her eyes scanning a particularly incriminating document. "He's been involved in everything from money laundering to human trafficking. We need to get this to the authorities, but we can't trust just anyone." "Agreed," I said. "We need someone on the inside who isn't on Dad's payroll, someone who can protect us and ensure this information sees the light of day." "I might know someone," Lily said thoughtfully. "My cousin works for a federal agency. He's always been honest and trustworthy. If we can get in touch with him, he might be able to help." "Let's do it," Angel said decisively, "but we need to be careful. Dad's reach is extensive, and we can't afford any mistakes." As we planned our next steps, a sudden noise outside the cabin made us freeze. Footsteps. We exchanged worried glances and quickly doused the lights. "Stay quiet," I whispered, my heart racing. We moved to the windows, peering through the curtains to see who was approaching. A shadowy figure moved closer, and my breath caught in my throat. It was our father, flanked by two menacing-looking henchmen. They had found us. "Angel, Lily, stay back," I whispered, my mind racing. "I'll try to talk to him. Buy us some time." I stepped outside, trying to appear calm despite the fear gnawing at my insides. "What do you want?" I called out, my voice steady. "I want what belongs to me," my father replied coldly, stepping forward. "You think you can hide from me? You think you can betray your own blood?" "We have nothing to say to you," I said firmly. "Your crimes won't go unpunished." "You naive little fool," he sneered. "You have no idea who you're dealing with. Hand over the documents, and I might consider letting you live." "Never," Angel said, stepping out of the shadows to join me. "We're not afraid of you anymore." A tense silence fell over us, the forest around us eerily quiet. Then, without warning, one of the henchmen lunged at Angel. In the chaos that followed, we fought back with everything we had. "Run, Lily," I shouted as I struggled against one of the men. "Get help." Lily took off into the forest, her speed and agility giving her a head start. Meanwhile, Angel and I fought desperately, using every ounce of strength and determination to fend off our attackers. Just when it seemed we were overwhelmed, a shout rang out. "Federal agents, freeze." Armed officers emerged from the trees, their weapons trained on my father and his men. Lily had managed to find her cousin and lead him to us in time. "Drop your weapons," one of the agents commanded. The henchman hesitated, then complied, realizing they were outnumbered and outmatched. Our father, however, remained defiant. "This isn't over," he hissed as he was handcuffed. "You think you've won, but you have no idea what you're up against. Take him away," the lead agent ordered, "and make sure he doesn't get any special treatment." As the agents escorted our father and his men away, relief washed over us. We had done it. We had survived the confrontation and exposed his crimes. Lily's cousin approached us, a reassuring smile on his face. "You did great," he said. "We'll make sure your father pays for what he's done. You're safe now." "Thank you," I said, my voice shaking with emotion. "We couldn't have done it without you." Angel hugged me tightly, tears streaming down her face. "We did it, sis. We really did it." The journey ahead would still be challenging, but we knew we had each other and the support of people who cared. We had confronted our darkest fears and emerged stronger, ready to rebuild our lives and honor our mother's memory. The aftermath of Dad's arrest left us in a whirlwind of emotions, relief, disbelief, and a profound sense of liberation. With justice served, we turned our focus to rebuilding our lives and forging a new path forward. The safe house, once a hub of strategy and tension, now became a place of reflection and planning. Agent Finch had secured our safety and ensured ongoing legal support, but the transition to a new life would take time and careful consideration. "I can't believe it's over," Lily mused, her gaze drifting out the window to the quiet street below. "We've been fighting this for so long." "We did it," Angel replied, her voice filled with quiet determination. "But now we have to figure out what comes next." Finch joined us, a stack of paperwork under his arm. "The legal process will be lengthy," he admitted, taking a seat at the table. "But you're safe now. That's what matters." As we discussed our options, a knock on the door interrupted our conversation. Detective Ramirez stood in the doorway, his expression more relaxed than we had ever seen. "I wanted to check in," Ramirez said, stepping inside. "And to thank you. Taking down your father. It's a big win for us too." "We couldn't have done it without you," I acknowledged, shaking his hand gratefully. Ramirez glanced around the room, his eyes lingering on the evidence boards and scattered documents. "You've got a future ahead of you," he said finally. "Don't let this define you." With Ramirez's departure, we turned to practical matters, finding a new home, securing jobs, and adjusting to life without the constant threat of Dad's influence. It was a slow process, filled with uncertainties and occasional setbacks, but each day brought us closer to a sense of normalcy. As weeks turned into months, our lives began to take shape. Angel enrolled in college, pursuing her dream of studying psychology. Lily found work at a tech startup, channeling her skills into something positive and forward-looking. I, too, found a job at a local bookstore, a place of solace and quiet reflection amidst the chaos of the past. Surrounded by shelves of books, I rediscovered a love for storytelling, for worlds beyond our own, where heroes faced challenges and emerged stronger. One evening, as we gathered for dinner in our new apartment, Finch's name flashed on Angel's phone. His voice was calm but purposeful as he updated us on the legal proceedings, preparations for trial, witness testimonies, and ongoing investigations into Dad's associates. "We're making progress," Finch assured us. "But there's still work to be done. I'll keep you updated." As the call ended, we exchanged a look of quiet determination. The road ahead was uncertain, the scars of our past still fresh. But with each passing day, we grew stronger, united by a bond forged in adversity and strengthened by the promise of a new beginning. "We'll get through this," Angel said, her voice steady. "Together."